This is a great mobilization to unwind tissue, to enhance range of motion, or just to get you moving. You can use it as a cool down, a warm up, or in the middle of a workout. I'm going to step with my leg extended. I'm going to go down with this implement, in this case a medicine ball, and I'm going to touch because I've got that range of motion. If you're forcing it, go to a place that's comfortable, come up and twist over that front leg. I'm taking my head away and over my other shoulder. I'm going to step, anchor that foot. I'm going to decelerate towards the ground, effectively stretching my hamstring and my low back. Then I'm going to come up and I'm going to rotate. And when I'm rotating, I'm driving my elbow back and I'm looking behind me. Again, I step, anchor that foot, let my neck go, stretch my whole posterior on this side, come up, rotate. And I want you to notice the anatomical position. I'm not shrugging my shoulders, I'm just suspending the ball with my elbows out high. One more time. Step, anchor the foot, decelerate, I let my neck go, I get the stretch, I set the tension in my posterior, my hamstring, and my calf, my low back, up, and I rotate. And never do I let this rotation pull me off my center. I want to stay anchored. That's the mobilization I like to use.
Hi, it's Maxworkouts.com. Today I'm going to show you some mobility exercises. You can do this on your warm-up. This is a great way to loosen your joints, warm up your muscle, and really limber up before you start your workout. Okay? So we're going to start with over-unders. What you want to do is you want to step off the hurdle, and then get under the hurdle, right? Step over the hurdle, get under the hurdle. You do this pretty quickly, actually. This is a great way to mobilize your hips. Go the other way. Right? Get under hurdle, over the hurdle, get under the hurdle. You start with a lunge. Put both hands down on the floor. One elbow into the instep of the lunging foot. You're going to open up, reach up, look towards the ceiling, bring that hand back down, bring your butt up in the air, come on down into a hip flexor stretch, and come on back up. I'm going to do this on the other side here. So, lunge, both hands down on the floor, elbow in the instep of the lunging foot. You're going to reach up, look towards the ceiling, get a good stretch, hand back down, get a butt up in the air. You're going to get a good hamstring stretch when you do that. Come on down into a lunge hip flexor stretch right in here. And then come on back up.
Okay, we're going to show you 4 mobility drills today that you can integrate in a bunch of different ways in your daily lives. Obviously, first and foremost, we use these as part of our warm-ups before exercise, but by that same token, you can use them at the end of the day if you've been sitting at a computer all day. You can do them on your lunch break if you're looking to kind of break the monotony of being in one posture all day. And it's really, really important to add this amplitude to your daily lives. So we're going to take you through the demonstrations with Chris's help here. We're going to start off with something called a wall hip flexor mobilization. You'll notice he's going to go down to a lunge position, using the wall as kind of a brace to hold him in the right posture. He's going to go hand right down to his foot and rock forward, taking the heel to the butt as he goes along. So as he does this, he's extending his hip and he's flexing his knee. So he's stretching muscles that cross both joints throughout a full range of motion. You'll notice as he rocks through there, he's got a chin that's tucked, and basically his entire torso to his leg is a nice straight line. So rock forward, trying to take that heel to your butt. As you get to that front position, try to squeeze your glute a little bit. You'll find a stretch in the front of your hip and all the way down your quad. Some people may not have the flexibility to get to this position, so for those individuals, we'll just keep the foot down on the ground and we'll just do the hip portion and rock right along. Typically do sets of 8 per side, and then we'll progress right on to our next exercise. We're going to do a supine bridge with reach. Okay? In this position, you'll notice Chris is about a 90-degree angle at his knees, and all he's going to do is he's going to push through his heels and bridge right up. Okay? So in that top position, he's going to squeeze his glutes and then just kind of do a reach. Okay? We usually alternate sides. We'll go 6 per side. As he bridges up, we're trying to keep that lower back out of the motion. Instead, he should feel it in his butt and maybe a little bit in his hamstrings. But you'll notice for some people, the toes will come up off the ground, and that can help keep their weight back a little bit. As he bridges up, He's going to brace his core, and he's going to focus on rotating through that upper back. So we're trying to build some mobility in what we call his thoracic spine, or his upper back, while that core stays stable, all right? So we're going to roll over onto our stomach here. For our next exercise, yoga push-ups, all right? So it's a regular push-up in that bottom position. As he gets to the top, he's going to shoot his hips back, up nice and tall. You'll notice his head stays right in line with his body. The chin is tucked. He's basically getting a little bit of full shoulder flexion. He's getting some upper back mobility. He's getting a stretch on his calves, a little stretch on his hamstrings. And then he comes back down, does a regular push-up, maintaining that neutral spine, comes back up, pushes his hips back. A lot of people will do this exercise with a lot of excessive arching in the low back. We don't want that. We want to keep that nice straight line. Okay? If you're someone who doesn't have the adequate strength to do a good push-up, just don't go all the way down. Come back to that top position, shoot all the way up, and then for you it might look something just like this, and then you come right back up. So we're still building some good core stability in the process. All right? So that's a yoga push-up. Last one we're going to show you is something called a walking Spider-Man with hip lift and overhead reach. In this case, we're not going to do the walking version just because we want to keep it nice and stationary so you can still see it on camera. But in normal scenario, you might be walking for it. So here's your Spider-Man. You'll notice Chris is kind of stepping out to the side here, using his elbow to push that knee out and get a little bit of a groin stretch. From that position where he's maintained a good posture, he's going to shoot his hip up, get a big stretch on his hamstrings. He's going to drop back down in, and then he's going to reach with that opposite arm to really open up his upper back and get a big stretch in his pec. So let's go ahead and go through another one on the other side here. So lunge down in, push that knee out, good posture here, shoots that hip up tall, drops back down in, reaches with that hand, follows his hand with his eyes to make sure that he's moving at his upper back and not just his shoulder. Okay? So on those, we'll typically go with a set of 5 per side. All right? So there's 4 exercises that you can add quick and easy for your warm-up. It's probably 2 minutes of total work at the reps that I outlined today, and should make a big difference in how you feel and how you move.
Hi, I'm Brian Francis from Billy Beck III Personal Training and Performance Center. And today I'm going to show you how to stretch out the thoracic spine. With me here to demonstrate is super trainer Lauren Huff. Now the thoracic spine is the middle part of the spine. Cervical is the neck, then we have the thoracic spine, and then the lumbar spine at the bottom. So what we're going to do is show you 3 stretches to stretch out that thoracic spine. So the first stretch Lauren's going to do, she's going to start on her knees. And basically what she's going to do is scoop one arm underneath her body till her shoulder touches the ground and hold that position. What we want to do is hold this position for 30 seconds, maintaining that alignment at the hips. So she'll hold 30 seconds in this position, then she'll come up out of that stretch, and then she's going to rotate into the other position, basically just scooping that opposite arm underneath. So you're going as far down as you can, trying to rotate and rest that shoulder on the ground. Your head should be able to relax neutrally on the ground when you're in this position. The second stretch Lauren's going to do, we call it the pretzel. So what she's going to do is lie on her side, and with her right arm, she's going to reach back and grab her right leg. She's going to pull that leg. No, you're right the first time. She's going to pull that leg and stretch out that quadricep. With the left arm, she's going to grab her right leg, and she's going to pull that up towards. Now, to put the stretch on her thoracic spine, when she's in this position, what she's going to do is rotate back into that position. So we're actually stretching 3 muscles here. One, the thoracic spine, the left quadricep, and then the right glute or piriformis. The last and final movement she's going to do, we call this the iron cross. You can use a foam roll or a towel. Basically, you're just going to place it between the knees. You're going to flex up at the hips. Hands are going to be straight out to the side. And what you're simply going to do, maintaining the back on the ground, is slow and controlled, rotate the legs side to side. She'll rotate to the side, come back to the center, and then rotate back out to the other side. I'm Brian Francis, and this has been How to Stretch Out the Thoracic Spine.
Mandy's going to show us a hip adduction, abduction combo. I have her on a wall. You can use a mirror. You don't even really need either, but I like this surface because I know that her hips and her shoulders are on this point of reference, and it's going to eliminate any compensatory movement. Mandy's going to show us first the adduction. Notice how she moves her leg up out of the way in flexion. And this is the principal movement we're after with the femoral adduction at the hip. She's just raising that leg up, and it's in one plane. It's all in this plane. In the sagittal plane, it's much more difficult than she's making it look. Her hips are anchored, her shoulders are anchored, her head is completely lax and neutral. She's going to switch to the abduction phase, or the away from phase. I'm just going to put a towel on her foot. It's going to allow her foot to slide more easily. She's going to internally rotate her foot just a little bit and make a semicircle. And with each subsequent rep, her shoulders are still on the wall, her hips are still against the wall, her head is still neutral. In each subsequent rep, she's getting more and more range and more range of motion that the joints and the tissue will allow. She doesn't need to force it. And this is the abduction after the adduction. It's a really good way to promote strength and stability at the hip and some range of motion. Good, thanks, Mandy. Good. Mandy's going to show us a series of hip swings. In this particular hip swing, she's going to do an AD towards the body and AB, abduction, away from the body. So what I want typically athletes to do is eliminate any flexion in the elbow and keep the arms fully extended. That way it ensures all the forces are distributed through the hip and up the chain. I want you to also notice that that foot, the anchor foot, is completely neutral. It's not everting, it's not inverting. Go ahead and switch, Mandy. And when she starts, she's going to ease into the range of motion. She's going to let that tissue become habituated to the movement, and then she's going to increase the range within comfort, within reason. And again, the anchor foot is completely neutral. And I see her elbow starting to bend, so I'm going to tell her to keep those arms fully extended because I want those forces distributed through the hip. I don't want them to dissipate through a bent elbow or laxity in the shoulders. Navel's drawn in. That is a good AB adduction hip swing. Mandy's going to show us an active internal femoral rotation. She's going to make it look a lot easier than it is in actuality. Go ahead, Mandy. She's going to start narrow, opening the gate, squashing the bug, closing the gate, opening the gate, squashing the bug. And notice it's just her leg that I want rotating. Her trunk stays neutral. Her chest stays neutral. This is a perfect demonstration of what we're trying to achieve. Open the gate, squash the bug, close the gate. Open the gate, and again, look how far her knee rotates internally, or you can think of it as the heel is externally rotating, thereby forcing the knee into internal rotation. A great pattern to train the hip capsule mobility and internal rotation of the femur to make sure those joints are strong in all planes. That's perfect, Mandy. Thank you.
So this is a book opener, a lovely warm-up move to open up the thoracic and potentially to stretch the front of the chest and the shoulder as well. So client is lying with their head, their shoulders, their hips and their feet on a line, and the arms out in front. Seb just reaches forwards with his top arm and then opens up the book. And what we're going to aim to do is get the back of their shoulder as close to the ground as possible without the hips and the knees moving. So all the rotation comes out of the thoracic and the chest opens up nicely. So if you come back over the top, one more like that. And what we'll often see is that someone with limited shoulder mobility, they will internally rotate the shoulder as the arm comes back. So like this, you'll see this shoulder protracted. So what we'll do to limit that protraction as they come up, rather than coming back on a straight line, we'll cue them to take that line back about 45 degrees to the spine, and that's going to keep a bit of external rotation and allow the pec to open up and stretch through the front of the shoulder. 5 to 10 repetitions each side. Keep it nice and easy. Make sure you're still breathing.
Hello everybody, and thank you for tuning in. This is Dr. Andy Rosser, and I am talking about shoulder and thoracic spine mobility today. So, first exercise is a shoulder roll forward and back. And this is just to get some mobility in those shoulder blades. When you're on a bike, shoulders are leaned forward, and especially if you're on there for an hour or more, hold in one fixed position, you can get a lot of stiffness up in there. So this is getting those shoulder blades moving around on the rib cage. Got some elevation and rotation around the multiple axes there. About 8 of those per direction. Next exercise is the thoracic and shoulder mobility exercise. And in this one we're getting some rotation and extension in the upper part of the spine, which is one place that's really particularly stiff on cyclists. So if you're watching this, as we raise up, elbow pointed towards the ceiling, getting an opening up on the front and squeezing together in the back with the shoulder blades pinching together towards the middle spine, and about 8 of these per side. These are great exercises to do prior to getting in and doing any strength movements in the gym, and these are also great for once you're getting off the bike, getting some movement into those muscles that are stiff and achy from being on the bike. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have difficulty getting through these exercises, please send me an email, andy@rosserchiro.com.
All right, welcome back to Therapy Thursdays. We got Johnny Blair today helping us out with some thoracic mobility exercises. We're going to focus today on rotation, and next week we'll give some extension, thoracic extension exercises. This work is great for anybody with neck pain, shoulder pain, mid-back pain, low back pain, or any athlete that needs to transfer energy from their lower body to upper body or upper body to lower body, and that's the majority of all athletes. So we'll get Johnny on the ground and we'll try and assess and give him some exercises to improve his thoracic mobility. All right, so we got Johnny down in the quadruped position. So I'm going to get you right on the ground, Johnny, hands stretched out. And now take your left arm and put it behind your back, behind your head here. And you're going to rotate the shoulder up as high to the wall as you can. So bring your elbow up as much as you can. And now on Johnny, he's got a great amount of thoracic rotation. The majority of patients won't be able to get nearly as much mobility as we see here in him. We're looking for about 50 degrees from parallel to the ground. Johnny's clearly got well over that. If this was an issue, and for a lot of clients it is, lift your elbow up, Johnny. This is a position that a partner or a therapist can give a great amount of overpressure and help assisting a client or patient to get into this range. So as an exercise, this movement works great, or we can transition Johnny into a parietal, or modified parietal as SST calls it here. Get you right down on the ground, forehead on the ground, Johnny. And we'll give you a dumbbell. We'll use your right hand for this one just because it's convenient. And you can show us how to activate this upper quadrant, trying to activate the muscles of the backside of the shoulder and mobilize this thoracic spine into rotation. Good. And hold for a second at the top. And back down. So an easy exercise to do at home and an easy exercise to do with a partner if you have a mobility concern for thoracic rotation. Next week we'll take a look at some quick, easy ways to improve your thoracic extension mobility. So stay tuned next week for that.